What's up guys, and welcome back to Pop Beat Breakdowns. Today we are going to be breaking down a synth pop instrumental in the styles of 80s pop. I thought this would be a really fun beat to do in case you are a producer who wants to refine your craft when making a synth pop instrumental. Especially if you are a beginner to music production, these videos are all tailored to help you get an understanding of how to build productions in certain styles of music. And today we are doing a synth pop beat. So hopefully if you watch this video till the end, you'll get a good understanding of how to build a synth pop / 80s pop style production and refine your craft as a music producer. Just quickly before we do get into the video, I just want to quickly tell you about a sample pack which is relevant to today's video. It is my synth pop loop sample pack which I have recently launched into my sample pack store. I made this sample pack specifically for producers who want to build productions in the style of the beat you're going to hear in today's video. In this sample pack you get 7 custom synth pop instrumentals which have been originally made and royalty free, containing over 104 synth pop samples which can be the starting point for your next synth pop production that you make. So after you finish watching this video, click the link below and check that out, and I hope the sample pack helps you in building synth pop productions. Anyway, with that all out the way, let's jump into Logic Pro X and let's break down this production. Okay, as you know, if you're a returning subscriber to this channel, we always make these beats down in the order that everything was added. This way you get the best understanding of how a production was built. And today I started from the drums. Now the drums today is a really fun one because I like to use these drums a lot in this sort of music, and that's the Abbey Road 80s drummer. That it really fits into the whole 80s pop vibe as it says on the tin of the 80s drummer. Now the only thing I've done to this to really make it come alive is I've added Ozone 9, and this is the preset which adds drum space. And I wanted to tell you this because the first thing I really want to get out there is there's nothing wrong with using drum presets when it comes to effects and anything, especially in early stages. Do not feel like you have to get fully to grips with certain plugins. Now I know Ozone 9 is a third-party plugin if you're a Logic Pro X user and it isn't in Logic, but there is so many other plugins out there with presets, so if you're someone who's struggling to mix at the start, don't be hesitant to use presets. Presets can be very good for your productions. Now I've said that, let's go listen to the drum beat that we've made for today, and as you'll hear, it's a very classic drum beat for this style of music. I added a massive reverb to the drums to give it that really sort of like room boomy sound which you hear very classically in sort of like retro 80s pop kind of music and disco. That is why we put it in there. And I always separate my drums into separate MIDI tracks because then you can mix everything individually a lot better rather than just relying on having to mix it in one VST plugin. So always separate your MIDI when you're doing the drums because you get a more realistic mix out of it as well. Then the next thing I added was this heavy punch bass. This is actually a preset in the retro synth. Now if you don't know what the retro synth is in Logic Pro X, it is this little fella right here. This is great for this kind of music, so I highly recommend rather that you check out the bank of presets in here because there's some really cool sounds, and this is one of the bass sounds. And I just went with a very simple running bass line with a little bit of bounce. And this is the exact preset straight out the tin. Now, just to make sure we really did cover the low end in this track, I added some subby bass as well, which is again a Logic Pro X preset, so you can find this for yourself. Now, if you listen to it by itself, it sounds very boring, but again, this is just to add that low end. And it really does provide that low end. Because as it says on the tin, it's subby, so it works. So we've got our drums, we've got the bass. Now we can really start building this production back up. So I wanted to start adding in some chords now and start adding in some elements which will set the tone for the song. Now I was looking around some different ideas and eventually I came up with this simple strings idea. So this is the retro synth again, and this is the simple strings preset in the synth strings. Now this is really good for this style of music, so if you're a Logic Pro X user, I highly recommend you check out this sound, but this is the chords I laid down. And then we put it over everything so far. Really starting to get that feel already. Now, the only thing I really added here is a chorus effect. This is to push it right out to the sides of the mix. I love to use that chorus effect. If you want to get that nice stereo spread, you have to use the settings here with 100% intensity, 100% mix, and the 0.033 Hertz. This is how you get the best separation, spreading something out hard left and hard right to a mix to allow that space down the middle, while also not affecting the track too much where it gets modulation. So yeah, that's a really cool way. Sample delay is another way you can do that, but I just choose to use the chorus most of the time. Now, the next thing I did was a cool little effect. Now, this is a pad called the Airways. You've probably seen this if you go into your pads. It's right at the top. And I just wanted to create some sort of cool effect. It's like an interesting texture. And I came up with this, which is literally just me running my hand right up the keyboard. Now, this is what it sounds like. It's a really cool effect. Check this out. That's literally just me running my finger right up from the bottom key to the top key of the keyboard. Creates this cool little sweep effect, which I just thought was something different to add, because you have to experiment when you do these kinds of productions. Again, it doesn't have to be in key, it's just something to create some movement in the background to make the track more interesting. Now, after we've done that, it is back to the chords again, because at this point now we need to be very delicate with what we're adding to kind of put each piece of the puzzle together. So I wanted to add something interesting next. And what you're listening to here is an ARPed synth. So we've got the cloudy plucked synth, and I just played the chords in. So if we look at the MIDI here, you can see that we have the chords, just the chords. So you'd think if I'm just playing chords, why are we getting this really nice arpeggiated effect? That's because we are using Logic's arpeggiator with a variation of 2 and an octave range of 3, which creates this nice little bouncy pattern to create some movement in the production as well. So it just goes really nice in with the rest of the synths. So yeah, so the synths is coming along really well. Now, I'm going to skip these so we can just get all the synths covered at once. We next added some faded keys. This was the next element we added, because I wanted something with a little bit more of melodic presence in the mix to really have something that's like the foundations of the track. So you can see this is the thing that's playing from the start. So this is the key feature of the song. And I found these faded keys in the keyboards, and I just felt like playing the chords in with a little bit of a melodic value to it. This was the best sound that I could come up with. It sounds great. And then the last synth that we added, which wasn't a lead, was the space pad. Now this is in Omnisphere, but this is a really cool spatial pad that I added, and one of them sort of elements which I just browsed through for a while till I found something that stuck, and this is what I came up with. This is the preset, by the way. But again, like little ideas like this, you don't have to overcomplicate it, but it just adds some sort of glitter, is one word you could call it, to the mix. And if you add it in, like, it just adds this really nice sort of like air in the high. Now next we'll turn our attention to the guitars that we've added in. We've added 2 guitars in here. The first guitar, we're both using, by the way, the electric vintage for these guitars. Now this one that we're playing in is just the chords, but I've gone into the pedal board and I've added a heavenly chorus to give that really nice 80s modulated effect. And then we've got a reverb, very big reverb, 4.8 seconds, which we've added in to get this. And then basically using the exact same settings, I've just added another one, which is just a melodic plucked version. Or picked rather. Now what's really cool about these is I've sample delayed one hard to the left and sample delayed one to the right, so you get a really nice thick guitar sound, but they're not clogging up each other or overlapping each other. They have their place in the mix. Makes the guitar sound a lot bigger in the mix as well. Which basically like builds up to the whole production. And the last thing added here is using the massive saws, which, by the way, the massive saws is probably my favourite preset when it comes to synths in Logic. You can find it in the classic synth section if you scroll down to massive saws in M. This is an absolute monster of a synth, and it just goes with any song in this sort of style at all. So I just came up with this melody just to top it off, so it's a little break for the chorus. And this was the melody I came up with. And all together now. When it comes to the actual editing, other than the preset, I have added a reverb. I've added also a stereo delay as well, just to give it a little bit more movement. But that, in its essence, is literally all it takes to make a really full, massive sounding synth pop beat. You don't have to overcomplicate it. Just choose your layers and add them in accordingly, and then this is the outcome that you get. So yeah guys, I hope you found this video helpful, and don't forget as well, if you want to try and start building up your Synthpop productions, a really good place you can start is by checking out and downloading the Synthpop sample pack that I've made, purposely designed to help you get the ball rolling with new ideas when it comes to making Synthpop productions. But other than that, I'm going to leave the video there for today guys, so thank you so much for watching, keep making music, and I will see you in the next video.